of am like all one color. Blonde hair, pale skin, cream shirt. It's fine. We're gonna add some color. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. I'm Katie, and today's video is going to be a very highly requested one. It is going to be a holiday glam. Last year, I think I did a holiday glam look as well. So it's going to be different. I'm going to include glitter, but it's going to be really wearable. I don't have it all mapped out yet, but I have an idea of what I want the eyes to look like. I want the eyes to be able to coordinate with a dark lip and with a more nude lip. So whatever you feel comfortable with. So it's not going to be like too crazy on the eyes where you can't do a dark lip with it, but it's not going to be like too subtle on the eyes where you need a dark lip to make it more dressed up. This is just like a cozy sweatshirt. Even though it's like 85 degrees outside, I wanted to put on something cozy to like get me in the glam holiday spirit. Let's address the elephant in the room real quick. My face. So I got a chemical peel about a week ago, and so I've got like some redness from skin that's growing in, and then I also have a couple breakouts because that time of the month is just like the perfect storm right now. But it's gonna be great because I'm gonna show you how SunAgents can totally cover it up and make it look like I've got the most perfect skin on the planet, because for about 3 out of 4 weeks of the month I've got great skin, and then that time of the month comes and we're gonna start with I, unless you're doing your makeup with me, then we. I'm using Silk Pore and Wrinkle Minimizer. This stuff fills in fine lines and wrinkles. So I do like half a pump on my finger. You could also use a brush if you want. And then you only just press it into the areas of concern. So for me, my large pores are first right here, and then a little on my nose, a little bit on my forehead, a little on my chin. And so it really doesn't take a whole lot. And what's cool about it too is it's going to work immediately. You don't want to rub it until it's dry. I actually like to let it be wet, like still let it feel wet on your skin, and then it's going to settle in to the pores and fine lines and wrinkles and fill everything in and dry. So you want to give it like 5 minutes to kind of dry down in place. But what's cool about it is it works immediately, but then it also works over time. So the more that you use it, you can use it both morning before you put your makeup on and at night as like a treatment, and it's going to help to shrink those pore sizes and smooth out any fine lines. While that's setting, I'm going to apply Candlelight Shadow Sense right here underneath my dark circles to balance them out. My allergies are so bad right now. I'm like so stuffed up, and it's giving me, I don't think it's a sinus infection. I hope it's not a sinus infection. My dark circles just emerge whenever I get sick or allergies. So using Candlelight to cover those up, look at that. What that did. And I only use it over top of the dark circles. I don't apply it everywhere because since it's Shadow Sense, it is more of a dry formula compared to our concealers. And so if I apply it everywhere on my skin, it can kind of tend to look a little bit cakey because I tend to have more dry under eyes. And so I prefer just to use Candlelight right where I need it underneath my eyes. I'm also going to apply it on my lids to help cancel out any veins and redness that I have. That just gives us a nice blank canvas. For my face, I am starting with Tinted Moisturizer. You guys, look how cool. I talk about this every single time that I show our foundations. I could cry. I swear this always happens. I just keep talking and talking and talking, and I don't realize that my camera stopped recording. So, hi. Here's my face with Tinted Moisturizer on, and then I also applied light concealer on my blemishes and the areas that I needed more coverage, and you can see that my skin is much more even. That was fun to keep talking and talking and talking and explaining everything, and then it didn't work. I'll recap what I did. So I used my Sigma F80 flat top Kabuki brush to apply my Tinted Moisturizer. And the way I applied it is I patted it into my skin like this. So patting it, stippling it, pressing it, that is going to give you a more concentrated coverage. If you go in and blend like this, that's going to really work it into the skin, buff it into the skin. It's going to be more sheer coverage. And so I patted, stippled on the areas that I needed more coverage, down here on my chin, center of my face, a little bit on my cheeks. But then I blended out into my jawline, down here, up and back into my hairline, because I don't need a harsh, super intense coverage around the perimeters of my face. Hopefully that made sense. Sigma F80 flat top Kabuki brush. Sigma brushes are my all-time favorite. You guys, I've been using them for 7 or 8 years now. Literally, like even before I started doing YouTube, before I started selling makeup, before this industry was my job, I've been using Sigma brushes. Diehard fan. It's amazing to be able to work with them now. I do have a coupon code down below if you guys want to get some at a discount, but this is my all-time favorite foundation brush. I think this was actually the very first brush I ever purchased. And then I took light concealer. I put a little bit on the lid of my Tinted Moisturizer, and then I took a brush. This one is an E25 from Sigma. It's a little travel size brush, that's why it's smaller. But I dipped the back end of the brush into the concealer. Okay, so I just tapped it on the area that I needed coverage, and then I let it sit for probably a minute or so. What that does is it warms up the concealer. The concealer warms up to your skin's temperature, which makes it a little bit easier to blend out. So it keeps you from overusing concealer as well, because the warmth of the skin makes it blend easier, so you don't need as much. So I let it sit. I also let it sit so that it starts to set into place. Remember, our products have the long-lasting color technology in them, so they are going to set into place on your skin and not budge. But I wanted it to be really concentrated on those areas that I needed more coverage. So I let it sit for a little bit, and then I went in with this end, you can see it's dirty, and I blended out just the edges of those circles that I had applied, because I want a good coverage over the center, over the redness, but I want it to blend into my skin too. I don't want it to be just a circle of concealer on my face. That's what I did. I went in and blended it, kind of patted it out, blended the edges, and here's where we're at. If you are someone that likes even more full coverage, you can go in and add a layer of foundation over top. You could even just spot treat with concealer in the areas that you need even more coverage. I personally just like to be a little more like skin-like, and so I am gonna leave it at this. But if you like more coverage, that's an option as well. Moving on. Okay, I'm gonna add some bronzer / contour to my face. I think I might actually contour. I feel like Holiday Glam calls for a little contour. First, I'm using the Deep Tinted Moisturizer to bronze. I'm going to just squirt a little bit onto my lid and then take my F05. This is a small contour brush, and use it to apply to my face and then blend outwards. Outwards, I meant backwards. Blend back into your hairline. So for bronzing, you want to bronze in like a 3 shape. So cheekbones up around your forehead. It kind of just adds color back into your face after we just went through and made it all one even skin tone. We're adding color back into the face. That is our bronzer. And you can see I'm using a bigger fluffy brush. I'm really kind of blending it all, like even up onto my cheeks a little bit, just to add some color and dimension back into my face. Okay, so now for contour, I found my favorite mixture for contouring with Senegence products. I felt like I couldn't find like a good product to use for contouring for quite a while, and then I tried something new. I'm in love. I feel like the color, the consistency, it's perfect. You're gonna think I'm crazy, but if you like to contour, just trust me on this. Okay, so I'm using Deep Tinted Moisturizer again. Put a little bit on my lid. I'm going to take Garnet Shadow Sense. You guys, this is gray. It's a very blue, cool, undertoned gray. It makes the prettiest contour color. I just tap a little bit onto the lid. We're gonna mix it. If you think of contouring, the whole purpose of contouring is to create a shadow, right? And so shadows, if you think of shadows, they're gray, right? So when you're contouring, you want to use a cool undertoned product. Most of our brown products are more on the warm side. They could be neutral, like Rustic Brown is neutral, Mocha Java is more neutrally, but as they blend out, and on my skin tone at least, they pull more warm. So I was always having a hard time finding something that was a true, cool toned, ashy brown. So I mix it. I just mix it with the back of my brush, again, and it is like the perfect consistency to blend out. It makes contouring really nice and easy, and it's cool toned. I'm so happy that I found this. Okay, for application, let's see. I'm just gonna use the same brush that I used for bronzing. I'm going to dip the back of my brush into it and just tap it where I contour, just 2 little dots. But this time I'm going to pinch my brush so it's a little bit flatter. Do you see that? It's a little more flat. And blend it that way. You could totally use like a actual contour brush, like a flat one, but I don't really see the point in getting multiple brushes if this one works. Did you see that? So that added a really nice contour, a nice shadow, that side versus this side, which is just bronzed. Contoured, bronzed. It adds a nice shadow, but it's super easy to blend, especially because it's the same product, just with a little extra color added. So my contour I don't bring as far forward as my bronzer, because really we just want a little contour underneath the cheekbones to make them pop. And I'm just gonna run the extra on the sides of my nose. I don't really contour my nose all that often, but I do feel like I need to add a little bit of color to it. If you're someone that struggles with making sure things are really blended, making sure things look good, making them look clean and sharp and precise, doing your concealer afterwards will help a ton to clean up any messes that you make. Which also means that I'm going to hold on my blush and my highlighter because I do that after I conceal. So we're gonna move straight to the eyes now. I'm going to start brows. For brows, I'm going to use Rustic Brown Shadow Sense. It is limited edition, but I have a bunch left. It is currently November 8th. So if you're watching this like 2 years later, I probably don't have any left, but it's a great, great brow color. So I take a little bit off the wand and then I work it into my brush by like rubbing it kind of back and forth on my hand. That really works the product into my brush and keeps me from over applying too much product. Brushing through, getting any foundation, concealer out of my brows. I just love the consistency of Shadow Sense for your brows. If you are someone that is new to filling in your brows, or you're like uncomfortable with it, you don't quite know like if it works right, I love, love, love Shadow Sense because it's so forgiving. It's really creamy and smooth and easy to work with, but then it sets down and it sets into place. So once you've got it where you want it and then you just leave it, it's not gonna move. That was before I found Senegence products. I used to use the Dip Brow Pomade and it's great, but it takes a lot of practice to get the hang of because the formula isn't super creamy. I mean, it's creamy, but it's not like way creamy and it's not super forgiving and it dries very quickly. Kind of just a harder formula, which I understand because products that don't have our long-lasting color technology in them, they need to be more dry so that they stay in place. You know, if you get a creamy product and it doesn't have the long-lasting color technology, it's gonna move all over your face. For eyes, I'm starting off with Mocha Java as my transition color. As always, it's the bomb. And this brush is an E30, and I'm bringing it a little higher. I want to create a larger lid space to work on because we're using glitter. I want to be able to have it cover more area. So I'm applying the Mocha Java up higher, closer to my brow. So that's all in the crease. I'm also running it underneath my lash line. The nice thing is we already applied Candlelight Shadow Sense down here, and so any discoloration in this area is taken care of. So I don't worry too much about doing my lower lash line because I'm not gonna go cover it up with concealer afterwards. I'm gonna work the concealer up into that area, but we've got like a nice canvas to start off of under your eyes too. How cute are my earrings? They are from Sarah Briggs. So cute, and this is just like a little ear cuff. Next, I'm taking Rustic Brown. My idea with this look was not to be too dark. I wanted it to be able to be worn with like a dark lip or a nude lip. And I also want to keep it more neutral so that you can wear it with a neutral lip color, or you can wear it with a warm lip color, or you can wear it with a cool lip color. So kind of my goal in doing this. So that's why I used Mocha Java. It's more of a neutral. And then I'm using Rustic Brown to deepen up the crease because Rustic Brown is more of a neutral as well. And this brush that I'm using to apply it is a E25. And lower lash line. Pretty much anything that I do to my upper lash line, I do to my lower lash line. Unless I'm doing like some, I don't know, like artistic look where I want it to be different on top and bottom. Pretty much do the same colors. It just makes it look cohesive. Okay, so that's kind of I am running it through the crease, but just a little lower, and then on like this outer V, and I'm putting it just a hair on the lid. You can see I'm using more like tapping motions versus the big buffing motions that I was using with Mocha Java. This tapping motion keeps it more in place and more concentrated versus like really blending it out, because I don't want this rustic brown to like overtake the Mocha Java that I applied. Okay, one last thing. I'm going to use a little bit of Onyx, which is our black. Taking it on, this is an E34, a domed brush. And I love using this brush for Onyx because since it's black, you want to make sure that you're keeping it right in the area that you're applying it. Like, you don't want it to be blown out everywhere, because that can just really darken your look. So that's why I like these smaller brushes, because they keep it more in a concentrated area. They're really easy to pat, but since it's domed, it does a little bit of blending too. You can blend it out a bit. Okay, so this is going just in the outer, just in this outer corner. And again, taking it from my wand, dabbing it off on the back of my hand. Work the product into the brush, but also keep me from overusing too much product. That is what I want for like my base. Make sure everything is all blended together. I'm taking my brush that I used for Mocha Java, just my larger one, no extra product on it, and just running it over everything so all the lines are nice and cohesive, and it just blends all together. Now we're going in with the glitter. So I'm going to use rose gold glitter because I feel like it's very fall appropriate. One trick I like to do when I'm applying glitter is I use a glitter glue, glitter primer. This just grabs onto the glitter, makes it stay, makes it stick, keeps it from falling out throughout the day. Rose gold glitter is more dry than our regular shadow scents, and it can have fallout throughout the day because it's super, super packed with glitter. So I like to use a glitter glue. So what I'll do is I'll take the glitter glue and I'll just put a little bit on the back of my hand. And then I'll take a brush. This is a flat E56 shader brush. I dip it into the glue and I only apply it where I want to apply the shadow scents, which for me is going to be inner corner and like middle of the lid. I take the shadow scents and I roll off the product onto the back of my hand, and I pick it up with that same brush. But the way I pick it up is I kind of like scrape it off. My rose gold glitter is old, so I'm running low on it. So that's why I'm doing it this way. If you have a brand new tube of rose gold glitter, you could totally just like apply it directly from your wand to your face. But for me, it doesn't get enough product off. See that glitter and intensity? Oh, it's so pretty. And then, so I'm patting it on. That's gonna hold it in place and really keep that like glitter strong and intense. And then I slightly blend it over the black because I don't want it to be like a harsh line. Okay, now I'm doing the same thing on the other eye. You could do glitter primer on both eyes and then do the glitter on both eyes. There's not really any need to do one eye at a time, but I just wanted to do one eye at a time to show you and to be able to talk through it. I love using my same brush that I applied the glue with to apply the rose gold because it still has a little bit of glue left in it. And so it's almost like it's sealing in the glitter with the glue that's left on the brush. That glitter. I feel like holidays just consist of black winged. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use our black eye scents. Hold it here. Our black eye scents, it comes in a little tube like this with a nice little thin brush on the end. So for all of you guys that like a liquid liner, it's super easy to use, super easy to apply. My tip, I've got my mirror right here, so I'm holding it down here, and I'm looking down into it. It's gonna make applying liner so much easier when you're looking down because you can still see your lid, but you're not like, you've just got space. Your lashes aren't in the way. It makes it a whole heck of a lot easier. So I'm starting by drawing on my wing. That's a pretty soft wing. It's not huge, but so you want this line right here to be an extension of your lower lash line, almost like up towards the tail of your brow. Like that's where it wants to meet. It's gonna be the most flattering angle for most people. And then when I'm applying across my lid, I'm holding my brush parallel to my lid. I'm not trying to draw this way. Also, another little tip here is to take your wing smaller than what you want it to be, because you can always pull it out, but it's hard to take it away. This eyeliner goes over the glitter fairly well. One eye always works better than the other. I think we're pretty even. There we go. So you could totally just curl your lashes, add some mascara, call it good. But whenever I do glam looks, I like to apply false lashes as well. So I'm just going to apply some black mascara to coat my lashes and make them dark. So this is our black waterproof volume intense mascara. It's new and it is amazing. I'm just applying that just to make them black. I'm not worrying about doing like too many layers, making it thick and full. All I want is the darkness. But if you're not comfortable with false lashes, you could totally just leave it. My favorite lash comb to comb through it. You can tell that this bad boy is well loved. It's missing some teeth. It's fine. It still works. Just combing out the clumps. And I like to apply false lashes at the very end. So I'm going to go ahead and finish my face and then we'll do lashes at the very end. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my light concealer from earlier and I'm mixing some white concealer into it. It's our white highlighter / concealer. And I do a pretty even ratio, about 1-to-1 ratio of product. And the reason I mix the white concealer in is because I like to use my concealer under my eyes as a brightener as well as a concealer. So it helps draw attention to my eyes, helps lift it, make it more like awake and open. So I like my concealer to be a lighter shade than what I would normally go for. So I just mixed it up with the back of my brush and then I'm applying it in this V shape. And then again, I do my same trick with concealer is I let it sit and I let it kind of melt into my skin. It makes it so much easier to blend and work. And if you can see, I'm not taking it all the way up to my lower lash line. I'm concentrating it in this V area and then I'll blend it upwards and I'll blend it outwards. But where I actually want the most pigment and product is right here. I don't want a ton of pigment up here. It's right in here. That's gonna really catch the light and draw the attention to your eyes. I'm taking my F64 concealer brush and just tapping it out to blend it in. You could also use your finger. Finger would work great as well. I'm being extra careful underneath my eyes because I do already have product under there. And then right here, I'm making sure that I'm kind of like cleaning it up and making that line pretty sharp, blending it up into my temples. I'm gonna go ahead and take my little brush just to blend out this area. I don't normally need a second brush, but I had kind of kind of looked like I applied a lot of product, and even still it looks like a lot, but it's really not that much. It's just seriously that pigmented. Now you can see why I like to do my blush afterwards, because I do take this down pretty far. I'm gonna pat the extra in the center of my face, a little bit on my forehead. I know it's super bright right now, but we are going to apply powder over top of it. If you feel like you've got too much, you can always go in with a sponge and it'll kind of soak up any excess. I don't like to blend it out with a sponge, but I'll use a sponge afterwards if I feel like I have too much on. So next I'm using our natural powder. It comes in a container like this, but I like to unscrew it and dump it into a separate container so that I can use my own brush to apply it more precisely. So I've got mine in my little container, and I love, love, love it's the F37. It's called a Spotlight Diffuser Brush. Love the way that this applies powder. It's kind of tapered, you can see, but it's still nice and big and fluffy. So I love it. Just fits like right underneath my eyes perfectly. Do you guys see what that did? It like toned it down just a little bit, but it's still nice and bright and still draws the attention to my eyes. As I mentioned before, all of our products have the long-lasting color technology in them. So our products don't need to be set. Our makeup doesn't need to be set with a powder in order for it to last all day. What this powder does though, is it is a oil absorbing powder, not just immediately, but also long term. So it will help absorb oils throughout the day. So that's why I'm applying it to my T-zone. And I also apply it underneath my eyes because it has an anti-wrinkle peptide in it. So when you apply it on your face, it helps smooth everything out, it helps blur everything out, and it's also going to help target fine lines and wrinkles the more you use it. So it really has done wonders for my under eyes. I've tried, you guys, top of the line powders, setting powders that are like raved about by tons of YouTubers, tons of beauty bloggers that are supposed to be top-notch, best setting powders ever. I don't want to come off as bashing any because they are great powders, but nothing compares to my Senegence powder. And I'm not just saying that because I sell it. Like, it's truly my favorite. Okay, I am going to apply some inner corner highlight. I am going to use a little bit of Snow Shadow Sense. It's just our white, but it's amazing. And the reason I waited until after I got my concealer on is because you can see I put concealer kind of right up into there, so I didn't want to cover the inner corner highlight with concealer. This brush that I'm using is the E30. It's a nice little pencil brush, so you can get right in there precisely and hit that inner corner. And because it's domed, it kind of blends. I'll also hit underneath my brow bone. Okay, now that that's on, I'm going with black waterproof lash scents on my lower lashes. It looks a little bottom heavy, but we're going to apply false lashes on top. But next I need to do blush. I am gonna go darker on my lips, so I wanna make sure that I'm choosing like a more neutrally blush, nothing that's going to be too intense. Oh, shoot, hold on. So I'm going to use Chocolate Cherry Blush Scents. It's just like a really pretty kind of bronzy pink. So this brush that I'm using is the F40. It's technically a contour brush, but I think it's perfect for the cheekbones or applying your blush. You can see it just added like a little bit of color, but it's not like overwhelming. So it'll still match and blend with whatever lip color I choose. Now I need some pearlizer. So I squirt a little bit out onto the lid right there. Kind of more than I was expecting. I like to take my fan brush and like rub it in, really work the product into my brush. And then I just kind of hit like tops of my cheekbones right there. See that? On the nose, Cupid's bow. Oh, I know what I'll do with this extra. I didn't want to do like too shimmery of an inner corner because I have rose gold glitter on my lids, but I felt like snow is like a little too stark white. So I'm going to take some pearlizer on my same brush that I used for snow and just barely tap it over the snow. It tones it down just a bit. Lashes and lips. That's like literally all we have left. Okay, I'm going to use these velour lashes. I've used them before, obviously. These are the style Wispy Me Away. I really like them. Look how pretty they are. They're like chunky, grouped, but really nice and fluffy at the tips. I like velour lashes. They're not as heavy duty, meaning I can't get as many uses out of them as some other lashes that I've used in the past, like the Vixen lashes that I talk about a lot here on my channel. But I feel like velour has more natural looking lashes that I can wear on a day-to-day basis. So I do really like them for their larger selection and variety, but you don't get as many uses out of them. The band is thinner, which can be good for some people too. Like some people, a thinner band is easier to work with, but just know that if you have a thinner band, it might not hold up for as long. I'm applying some House of Lashes lash glue in clear, waiting till that gets tacky. Again, look down into your mirror. Get those lashes out of the way. You'll be able to just like set this down onto your lids. These ones, like, they're a super dramatic cat eye, which I think goes really nicely with this look because it's pretty dark and I've got that wing, but I want this area to be open so you can still see that glitter. I think these lashes are great. Great, great, great for this look. I'll link them down below. For lip color, I'm gonna do something dark. I think I'm gonna go with Glam Doll because it's beautiful and not enough people love it. When it got re-released, so it was released in October of 2017, and then it got re-released this past September. I bought tons because it's an amazing color, and it kind of got overshadowed by Giddy Up, which is a brand new color that was really cool. But like, come on people, Glam Doll is stunning. It is like the most gorgeous, like berry brown fall color. Oh my gosh. Everyone needs it. So I'll show you guys. Okay, when I use dark colors, I always like to outline my lips first. It's a doe foot applicator. And so I'll flip it and I use the longer side to line. Gotta make sure I have like a nice crisp line. And then it's just like a coloring book. You just color in the lines. Glossy gloss to top. Okay, so I know I'm going to get asked, so real quick, Glam Doll is obviously a darker color, and for some people it can be a little bit tricky. Here's my suggestion with dark colors. Here's some tips. First of all, dark colors that are streaky, they're streaky because they are a thinner consistency, and trust me, you want a thinner consistency. If you have a thicker consistency, it's way harder to apply. It's going to crack on your lips. It's going to just not be as comfortable. So a thin consistency is good. When it comes to applying it, first tip is don't wipe off all of the product. What causes the streakiness is the different applications. So like you apply once and then you have to re-dip and wipe it off and apply again, and where it overlaps can cause streakiness. Having a little bit more product on your wand to kind of play around with actually works better when it comes to darker colors that can be streaky. The next tip is don't be afraid to add a fourth layer if you need to. It's totally fine. You're not gonna go to jail. You can do a fourth layer. Also, you can just go in and touch up any patchiness. So you saw at the end, there was a few spots that had like a slight bit of patchiness that I wanted to touch up. So I just went in and touched those up. No big deal. Sing praises to darker colors that are thinner because they're going to last better on your lips, are going to be easier to use once you get the hang of it. Don't discount a color because it's dark and you're worried about it going streaky. Just practice and use those tips. Hopefully it helps. I feel like this look is a very predictable fall glam, but I got a lot of requests for fall glam and I got a lot of requests for using rose gold glitter, and I actually got a lot of requests for dark lips too. So hopefully you guys like this. I'm for sure going to do more. So leave in the comments below what other types of holiday looks you would like to see. I'm excited to do them for you guys, and I will see you all in my next video. Oh, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can see when I post next. Okay, bye.